That's right. We are back, Royals fans. Welcome back in to the Queens Coach's Corner. It's been a while, but glad to be back on the airwaves here inside JJ's Red Hots here on this Tuesday night. Mike Glennon alongside you as always as we come to you live here on East Boulevard, getting you set for what has been a very fun and active last couple of weeks in terms of Royals athletics. And, of course, on we go deeper into the winter season as, believe it or not, December right around the corner. That's right. End of this week. We're already into the month of December. Hopefully everybody had a great Thanksgiving holiday and had some time to hang out with some friends and some family and just enjoyed their time off, if indeed you had time off. Some people didn't, but hey, you got to get out there and get that paper, work it up. But either way, got a lot to catch up on here since we last talked, that is for sure. As first off, both basketball teams tipping off and picking up their first D1 wins in program history. Talk about an incredible atmosphere November the 7th for the men's basketball D1 opener against Marshall. What a response. 1,600 in attendance. An unbelievable game. Of course, Mr. Big Time, Kenny Dye, putting in a floater with just 10 seconds left in the game to lift the Royals over the Marshall Thundering Herd by a final of 83-82. They haven't looked back since then. They've got 5 wins early on in this season. And then women's basketball doing the same, picked up their first D1 win against South Carolina State later on that week. And they are now 4-2 to start this early season. So both these teams already making some noise at the D1 level. Swimming has been tearing it up as per usual, coming off a big win against a stacked field at the Fall Frenzy. Great showing against Vandy and Richmond. After we talked to them about that, we're looking ahead towards that Fall Frenzy, and they did not disappoint. We'll catch up with Jeff Dugdale here in just a couple of minutes about that. Women's triathlon went on the road, came in second in nationals in their first ever Division I competition at the national level. Women's rugby winning their first ever NIRA Division Championship. We'll talk to Coach Muskisi about that coming up in just a little while. And, of course, men's rugby on to the NCR semifinals coming up this weekend. You just cannot say enough about the effort of this department and these student athletes, these coaches that they have put forward in the first few months of this year already and approaching the end of the semester. I know finals week coming up here in just a couple of days, and a couple of weeks later, all of a sudden we're already into the second semester. But man, what a time indeed it is to be a Royal here in 2022-23. We will take a break. When we get back, we got Coach Dugdale talk a little swimming on the other side here on the Queens Coach's Corner. Don't go anywhere.
If royalty carves out its place in history, comes an empire. An empire needs room to grow. People call us an empire. We simply call ourselves Royals. Queens has been committed to excellence in everything we do. Now, we've leveled up. We're faster. We're stronger. We're better than ever. And now, we're ready for a new challenge. Our legacy has expanded. ASUN is now our domain, whether it's away or at home. On the diamond, even when no one is watching. Working, training, coaching. In the moments that define our empire, Royals are Division I.
Yes, indeed, they are Division I, and man, have they had a good showing so far here this year as we dive headfirst into some swimming here to start off the show. Is Coach Jeff Dugdale, always a fan of the puns, so I had to throw one out there, Coach Dugdale. Yeah. But welcome back, my friend. It's been a very eventful last couple of weeks, not just for you guys, but of course for everybody going on. But let's talk about you guys coming off a big win and a big-time weekend in the Fall Frenzy, a record-setting performance, in fact, in many ways. But before we take a deeper dive into that, what can you talk about and just give your initial thoughts on that final weekend here?
Yeah, we had I would say we performed better than I thought on that weekend. I was hoping just to come out with some more experience. We brought in some conference teams in UNC Asheville and JMU, James Madison. And then we brought in a team that perhaps will win the D2 national championships now that we're out and could on any good day compete with us, and we went out, and I think what I saw was this incredible effort of wanting to compete at the highest level. And we saw it with Maciej Dusza going 19-1 in the 50 and being ranked 6th or 7th in the NCAA D1. And then Sophia Lang Jr. going 16-16 in the mile, which is absolutely phenomenal. Last person I coached that fast went on to be an Olympian in Ashley Twitchell in the open water swimming as well in this last Olympics, and when I was at Duke, and so I'm just seeing the mindset of our athletes start to shift to the size and physicality of effort in the pool that we talk about on the court and on the pitch and on the other different things. But our speed is increasing, our mindset is going to another level, and our everything I'm seeing is going to another level.
Well, you mentioned it a minute ago. You talk about kind of stepping up that Division I mindset, if you will. And we talked about that a couple of weeks ago in terms of how do you turn that mindset into wins, into good performances. And I feel like you've got to be proud as a coach right now of what you're seeing early in this season. Long season left to be swam, but at this point, you got to be happy with what you're seeing.
Yeah, we're going to have some tough spots. We're going to travel to Georgia Tech. We're going to we're going to take Georgia Tech. We're not going to go the night before and prepare. We're going to take the bus up to Atlanta or down to Atlanta, and we're gonna compete. Get off the bus and compete.
Sure.
And that's going to be a tough one. And we're going to have Tennessee and Virginia Tech coming into our pool, and those are 2 top 10 teams in the NCAA's. But if you want to be there, you have to race that. And I'm not always looking for the W, but those are nice. We've got Duke on Saturday, and I think we can have a W there. But what I'm looking for is the fight. I'm looking for how we compare ourselves to those athletes.
Well, especially since you got kids on this team that could very well be around when, in fact, you start competing for NCAA championships once again, and just getting that mindset early in their careers, and even for the folks that are seniors and juniors right now in this program. Looking at what they're able to do and just really becoming the best of themselves, whether that's a championship performance or not, they want to be the best in and out of the pool. And of course, that's something you guys practice and preach every day.
Yeah. If you want it, what we practice is a pretty simple saying. Excellence is a lifestyle, not an event.
Yeah,
at this level, we cannot expect to roll in and when the lights turn on, perform. We have to practice it day in and day out. We don't get the most talented athletes, but we get the athletes with some of the biggest heart. And as long as they can practice what great looks like over and over and over, then we see that translate into the competitions that we're coming into. And that's why I'm excited about our next one leaving tomorrow to Greensboro for the U.S. Open. This really translates into the long pool. We're going to transition from the short pool to the long pool. And we're going to get
right back to the short pool.
And right back to the short pool. But it was set up to be a challenge. And what happens is it's giving our athletes that we recruit them that we would swim against some of the best athletes, not only in the collegiate scene, but in the world scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's go back to the fall frenzy here, and we'll talk about starting out hot. As you mentioned her, Sophia Lang setting a school record 16-16 in the 1650 free. I mean, setting a record is something to behold at any program, but especially at a program that has had such an illustrious history. What was different that you saw in that race, and what have you seen out of her in recent weeks that's really stood out to you in terms of what she was able to do? I mean, again, top 15 in D1 history right now in that event in terms of overall ever. And so that's pretty incredible in her first semester as a D1 swimmer.
Yeah, so here's what I saw. We give a postcard as we go throughout our segments of our training. And in each new training phase, our postcard says, what I know now, what I know now, what would I do different? And one of the things that she kept writing was, I need to swim my own race and not everybody else's.
I like that.
So on that race, she took off and at a pace that we were like, okay, we're with you. And we're like, and I'm watching the clock and I'm seeing 29s. And then I see a 30 and I see a 30 flat. And I'm like, well, she's on a really good pace, but she has to improve from that. and she can't start to bleed, or what we call, start to feel the energy and everything. And she would get right back down to a 29, and
Okay.
she only hit 2:30s out of that mile that she
Wow.
had to swim. And she went on to swim that 16:16 and got out as if she could have kept going. And what it came down to was, I just got in the zone when I started swimming my own race and not swimming someone else's race.
I love that. And for those of you out there in a short pool, that's a lot of back and forth.
66
is a mile.
back and forth.
Yeah, that's again, it's dizzying to watch, that's for sure. But we talked about it. Both teams dominated. Men's winning by over 1,300 points on the weekend. Alexander Bach took first in the 200. Maciej Dusi, you talked about it, top 6 in the nation, and fantastic first place finish for him. Alex Kuhnert, Yannick Placille, 2 more that got into it. What was it about the men's team's performance that was a difference maker throughout the weekend?
Our men's team, based even on scholarships, based on transition from D2 to D1, is closer to the D1. So they are stacked. This year, I predict a 400 free relay that will be top 6 at NCAA Division I.
Awesome.
This team can compete for what most people know, and I'm going to use an analogy in basketball, the NIT.
Yeah.
We are eligible to compete in the NIT of swimming, which is called the NIC. We have definitely got a goal to win that.
Absolutely.
And in fact, you can only bring 12 swimmers, unfortunately.
Okay.
11 have already qualified. And the way you qualify is with NCAA Division I B standards or closer.
Gotcha.
So it's very tough to do.
And there was
We
a whole
already
lot of
have-
those this past
Yeah,
weekend.
we have 11. In fact, we broke 6 conference records already in joining our new conference and going in. So our men's team is different. Our women's team is building. Our women's team is excellent. And we are stacked, but we've had some sickness. We've had some different things.
Sure.
Not about excuses, but when we're exposed more when we have, we can't absorb as much as our men can absorb.
Gotcha.
So our men are they're just going to perform at a whole nother level this year, and they have attracted some new recruits that are incredible. Our women, same thing. Our women are the recruits that are coming in that they're attracting based on their performances.
Yeah.
Amazing. After Sophie 16:16, our phones lit up with people that want to come and swim.
Love it.
In our distance program with Coach John Lau and everything.
Well, I'm assuming as a head coach can't ask much more than that. But, you mentioned the U.S. Open earlier in the way the success you saw with the men's team. And as you talked about the kind of talent that's in that men's team this year, how do you translate that effort now to the U.S. Open coming up on Thursday and Friday?
Yeah, the main purpose for the U.S. Open is for us to get international experience, continue to get that, to constantly keep our eyes on Paris and putting people on the Olympic teams for their country, for the USA, for their countries that are represented within our program. So that is our purpose. We're not ever going to take our eye off of that. And our championships, conference championships, everything now are all part of the process to get ready for Paris.
Yeah.
And so with that focus, we are going to make that translation. We've been swimming long course 3 mornings a week right now. And it's been, we've been having some phenomenal swims come out of that. And we're still seeing the great speed develop out of the short pool as well. So we're pretty happy.
Well, I definitely want to touch on the women's team. As you mentioned, obviously we talked about Sophia Lang, but other familiar names, Monica Gumina, Annika Huber had a big weekend as well. Huber actually broke 2 records, broke her own record that she set earlier in the day, and then she ends up breaking it later on in the day. Can you just talk about what it takes to do something like that? I mean, the kind of mental strength, of course, yes, physical strength in the pool, but mental strength has got to be there too.
Yeah, it definitely does. And Annika's been a great addition from Germany. And she came in with a mindset that she wanted to do some pretty big things. And so her guts and her swim, not completely ready, was amazing. And so it was amazing to watch her have that type of grit to go after and to do that twice. I always say you can be heroic in one, but you're legit in 2. So
fair enough. I like
so
that.
she was able to show up twice in one day, which was really nice, in a prelims and a final. And that's what we're trying. Again, as we talk about practicing, we're practicing to be fast in the morning and to be faster at night. And that's what you have to do to progress through a big, large championship meet. And that's what we've always done well. And that's what we continue to practice and do well here. And we saw Danielle Malili just constantly do well, constantly just keep getting better and lead her team as a captain. Monica is an example, just a leader for life in what she's sharing and bringing to our program as a transfer from Arizona. And she's having a blast. She's having, when you fall in love with the sport again after transferring, she surprises herself because you can swim at a whole different speed when you're relaxed. And she is just relaxed with zero expectations other than just go out and help her team do some amazing things in her final year, and it's working like a charm.
Well, you mentioned Danielle Malili, of course, a very familiar name to those that have followed Queens Swimming, a very decorated young lady in and of her own right. But, in my humble broadcasting opinion, my favorite thing to call that you guys do is the 400 freestyle relay. I love that race. That is just one of the most exciting races you can watch. And again, on both men's and women's side, swept it on that Fall Frenzy final afternoon. But, Monica Gamina, Danielle Malili, Riley Heck, another newcomer to this program, and man, a heck of a swimmer, no pun intended. But, Sophia Lang on that is, again, set another record at 320.12. I mean, you talked a little bit about it, but what have the newcomers meant to this program on top of the difference makers that are already there for this women's program this season?
Yeah, well, the grit they bring. I mean, it's absolutely amazing, the growth mindset that they brought. Now, Riley Heck is an incredible story that I hope everybody listens to this and learns and has their kids go back to and listen again. See those promotions there, Mike?
I like that.
But listen,
we're
with
on
their
Spotify,
kids.
Amazon Music, everything, wherever you get your podcast day after.
Exactly. And
Save
so
us.
what happens is that she was only a high school swimmer. I would have never recruited her because she didn't fit a D1 level athlete.
Okay.
But she had this mindset that she just needed an opportunity and nobody else would give her that opportunity. And if she had not come to us, I don't think she would have swam. She would have been done with her career.
Interesting.
Because all she did was grow up and swim high school season only and be done.
Wow.
And I thought our biggest
That's pretty
fear,
unheard of.
Yeah, our biggest fear is would she come in and start training like a collegiate swimmer and get burned out? She has only gotten faster and faster and faster and continues to be a huge and have a huge role in our program. She has also shifted her mindset in wanting to give more in the community and take leadership roles and volunteering. So she's making things bigger than herself. And so I just amazing young woman. And you see that too. Sophie jumped in. Sophie would not normally be the person, but now I have to think that through. But she filled in because of some sickness. And then again, Danielle and Monica just choose to lead by example by saying, hey, let us get you some clean water. Let us make it safe for you to do well and gain some valuable experience so that you don't have to feel rushed, and we'll open up a lead for you. And that's exactly what they do.
Love it. Well, before I let you go, I just want to touch a little bit more on the U.S. Open. Obviously, you got Duke coming up on Saturday at home. That'll be on the Queen Sports Network over on YouTube. Make sure you like and subscribe over on YouTube so you get all the notifications on when we got new events coming your way. But looking at that U.S. Open, you talked about it a little bit there a minute ago, but what is an opportunity like that? I know we're an Olympians Made Here school. What does that kind of opportunity do for this program, and how do you use it to further the reach and the optics of this swimming program here at Queens?
Good question, because I've been on the phone this week with the Slovakian Federation, the German Federation, different recruits and people. And one of the things is that in America, we swim yards. Everywhere else, they swim meters.
Yeah.
And if the best swimmers want to come from around the world, and we want to look like the world so we can give a global experience and a worldly decisive decision-making because of our what we know, then we have to be able to recruit and say that we can swim in the long pool, in the 50-meter pool. And so what happens is the U.S. Open being right down the road in Greensboro and some of the World Cups that are pretty close by that will be in that Match A 1-2 in Indianapolis have really afforded us the opportunity to demonstrate what we preach, is that if we're going to be an Olympians Made Here school, then we've got to do that by training in the Olympic pool.
Yeah.
And yards is fun. and yards is competitive, and schools want to see NCAA championships and conference championships, and we'll give that, and we'll give those opportunities, but they have to be as a part of a process to build Olympians and make Olympians at Queens. And in doing that, we increase our profile and our visibility. And when we had Deion Driesens take out the 800 free relay at the Olympics in 2016, and hear Rowdy Gaines commentate and say, that's Deion Driesens from the Netherlands, also represents Queen's University of Charlotte. That's huge.
Yeah.
Patrick Castro Ortega, Marius Kush, and many of our triathletes as well. You can't buy and you can't plan that type of marketing. And that's what we need to continue to build a program that is first class, that can come to a uniquely positioned school that is just a mile from uptown Charlotte.
Yes, indeed.
That has all the benefits of the fourth fastest growing city and the 14th largest. And that's what we have to be able to show the world. This is the place to be. And we do it at these big meets.
Well, Coach Jeff Dugdale, always a fun conversation when you come on. I appreciate you joining us here and kicking off the show and our first show back here in the month of November. And we will most certainly have you back on here in a couple of weeks as we progress on in, and we'll have a lot more to talk about here coming up in the next couple of weeks. That's for sure.
Thank you, Mike. And I'll tell you what, if you're still listening, when you're listening, next is a champion. Dana's incredible. She took over a program this year, and I can't wait to hear her story about how she built this women's rugby program into the champions they are today.
And Coach Moschisi, all smiles over here as we'll catch up with her after the break. Coach, I really appreciate you joining us. All right, we'll take a break here as we come to you live from JJ's Red Hots here on this Tuesday night. Don't forget, Queens is on a mission to turn East Boulevard into Queens College Street. JJ's Red Hots, along with Bricks and other locally famous places of business, are all located up and down East Boulevard. So make sure you come on down, show some Royals pride while grabbing yourself a bite to eat, and enjoying the favorite places of your favorite Royals. We'll take a break. We're back here on the Queens Coaches Corner right after this. Don't go anywhere.
Life. It happens. And sometimes, all you can focus on is the pain. At Ortho Carolina, we want to restore you to a life without the pain. A life where the activities you pursue are no longer hindered. A life where you can freely enjoy, love, and participate in the lives of the people closest to you. Ortho Carolina, you improved.
Once royalty carves out its place in history, it becomes an empire. And an empire needs room to grow. People call us an empire. We simply call ourselves Royals. Queens has been committed to excellence in everything we do. Now, we've leveled up. We're faster. We're stronger. We're better than ever. And now, we're ready for a new challenge. Our legacy has expanded. ASUN is now our domain, whether it's away or at home. On the diamond, even when no one is watching. Working, training, coaching. In the moments that define our empire, Royals are Division One.
That's right. Speaking of leveling up, I'm joined now by head coach of our women's rugby team, Mike Lennon, alongside Miss Dana Moschisi as coach. First off, a big congratulations to you to the newest NIRA divisional champion head coach in the ranks, and a first-year head coach here at Queens, a person that's been a part of this program, but big-time congratulations. I can't imagine how proud of this team you are right now.
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Well, let's do this. I'd love to know, take us back to that day, and what was the energy like heading into the match, and how did you see your team seize that opportunity?
I would say every event and match leading up to that day was just kind of a rehearsal. So when we finally got to the big day, it wasn't a big day.
Okay.
It was any other rugby day. We
I like
just
that.
happened to fly there that day.
Fair enough.
But I think the preparation as a player myself, and then just having gone to a few nationals, knowing that we had to get our timing right, that was the biggest
Sure.
thing. Like making sure that we had time to just like sit around.
Yeah,
I would say the energy was calm.
I like that.
Calm most of the day, and we were pretty confident. I had a halftime interview, and it was tied up at halftime, and I was just kind of saying like, I think we've been playing in about third gear most of the game, but I'm feeling pretty confident that we're about to start waking up and our fitness is going to show in the second half, and it definitely did, especially in overtime.
I was going to say you called your shot on that one, that's for sure. But just to touch back on something you just said, and again, you as a player yourself, how did you help these young ladies in terms of manage their nerves on a day like this? Because be as still as you want, I'm sure at this age level, it's still a little bit of that anxiety or that anxiousness of, even if you have all the confidence in the world, you still have that little bit of anxiousness of going out and performing. What was that conversation like at halftime going into that second half, and of course extra time as well?
This is the transition of playing higher level competition, playing collegiate rugby, playing D2 rugby, and then transitioning into D1 rugby.
Yeah.
The biggest thing I told them to get to finals and to win finals is a mindset. Like, it's making sure that we are calm and collected every single moment throughout all 80 minutes of the game, and not just the first 60 minutes, which we failed in the past, where we started to crumble in 60 minutes, which is, I would say, what happened to us at semifinals last year.
Yeah.
But that was the biggest thing I was reminding them, was like, as long like you guys are set, we have our snacks, we have our food, we have our Normatec, like
Sure.
we have our crystals and our rocks. We've done all of the things. We've watched film. Now it's just time to perform, and the best way to perform is as like being in a cool headspace. And I think we were able to do that.
Well, and it's one of those things. I mean, you go into a game like that, you belong there. It's not a matter of should we even be here. It's you guys had dominated all season long, including that game against AIC, to get to that point. And you show up, and it's just like, guys, we belong in this game. And in fact, we deserve to win this game. So let's just go out and execute and get the job done.
That was the energy the entire day. I would say just starting warm-ups on Friday when we got to the field, like, there weren't any other teams giggling and like playing like rock, paper, scissors before they warmed up. So just making sure that we like worked out those nerves when we needed to.
I like that.
We also had a blowout Saturday morning, which we normally do for 7 season, just because we have so many games in a day. It's a good way to prime the body.
Gotcha.
And I did trial that out of all of the games finally at Nationals. We had
good time for it. Why not?
Like, might as well just throw in an extra workout.
Throw it out. Why not?
It's going to be cold.
I like that.
Yes, and we had a long day. We didn't have kickoff until 2:15. Everybody was up at 7 o'clock because we're used to being up at 5 a.m. for training.
Sure.
So we had a conference room reserved. We got up. We did some band work. We did some bear crawls. We did some up downs. We had lunch together. We had breakfast together. We hung out in the locker room for about 2 hours, and then it was just kind of like riding a bike.
And well, you and I talked about this last time you were on, and you illustrated it right there, the togetherness of this program and what that means to you as a player yourself, and what it means to be together with your teammates. But, on a national stage, whatever it might be, that togetherness can go a long way into the way you guys are in sync out on the field. And of course, even if you fall behind, or even if you're tied and you're struggling, whatever it might be, sometimes that togetherness can help you prevail. And obviously it did on the day that you won the championship. So.
Absolutely.
Well, let's talk about the game a little bit more. You guys, like you said, tied at halftime, come out into the second half. You guys end up falling down 20-12 in that game, and then you guys came roaring back. Can you talk a little bit about this team's resiliency and a team? And let's be honest, you really weren't in that position very often this year in terms of trailing, especially late in a game. So what did you see from your team on championship day in terms of prevailing and really just keeping their minds and being resilient about it?
The big thing was staying cool with all of the calls. A lot of our players are, to a fault, too educated and too certified. A lot of them are certified referees as well as level 300 coaches. So they'll start to react to a call before, once the whistle's blown, but before the hand signal's given.
Okay.
So there were a few times that I could tell that people weren't getting into position quick enough, but by that 60-minute mark, people started reacting a little bit quicker and
Yeah.
just giving the ref the picture that they needed to see in order to get game-changing poaches and turnovers. I would say a huge marker of the game that was definitely, what helped tie us up was the penalty kick
Yeah.
that we decided to kick. I would say Davenport did have a good opportunity to do that, and that might have lost us the game if they did end up kicking that. But
Interesting.
that might put us under a little bit more
Sure.
pressure, and maybe we would have came back sooner too.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's something that I think our team is very good at, is defense. That's probably the number one thing we've practiced this semester, especially above all of the other semesters I've been here. We definitely had a heavy emphasis on defense and the breakdown area.
Mm-hmm.
So just, again, being able to show the referee the picture that they need to see, because it's such a quick movement to get from tackle to get up and stealing the ball. So I think the players were really good and executed that, perfectly. We had 3 huge game turnovers in that second half.
Well, you mentioned something earlier in the rugby IQ, if you will, and I know it's always basketball IQ, football IQ, rugby IQ. But that being said, the knowledge of the game that your players have, you mentioned in terms of officiating on their own, coaching on their own, how big of a role have you seen that play with this team, not just this year, but of course, as their careers have progressed on?
That in incorporating that knowledge into their gameplay is what got us to this point. Just being able to apply it over the years. A lot of them were getting certified when I was first hired. I took the referee course with a few of my players now.
Sure.
So being able to learn enough and then again apply it like in real time. That was huge.
Well, you talked about it it had the incredible finish that happened in that game in terms of scoring to tie it in the waning seconds, and then you go into extra time and just kind of put that hammer down. How did you feel about the teams? Well, I should say, I know how you felt about it, but in terms of looking at this team and their finishing ability, and that's something you guys have done all year long, and whether it's you've been up late in games or close to being tied, the finishing ability has been there, and of course, that goes a long way in winning a championship. So can you speak a little bit about that in terms, especially in that championship game, the mentality it takes to be a finisher?
I would say the hardest transition of becoming a coach was learning how to run game day subs.
That's fair. That's fair.
That was like the number one thing that has taken me years to finally. I just kind of had to jump in this year. But
sometimes you just got to pull that Band-Aid, just go right at it, see what happens.
There were a few mistakes I made earlier in the season that I wanted to get everybody all the minutes, and I made subs with 30 minutes left of the game,
Sure.
and then we got a yellow card and an injury, and then we were 2 players down when I could have had somebody on the bench. So just being able to be tactical with the timing of all of my subs. I did not have the intention of overtime, but thank God that we had a full bench.
Yeah.
I would say the last 2 minutes of the game, I had my last 2 subs come on, and they ended up playing about 22 minutes.
Yeah.
22 minutes of
Wow.
time, and that made.
And that's one of those things you say that, and some people are like, 22 minutes, that's not bad. We're talking about rugby here. It's a physical sport. I feel like is a very large undersell of the sport of rugby. So 22 minutes is a lot of minutes.
We had a few players on the field play a full 100 minutes.
Wow.
That day. And that was another thing that I would say was a testament to the players and the grinds that we've been going on at training, was just seeing them standing up at minute 99 and some of the other players kind of rolling around just dealing with cramps that are,
Sure.
of course, going to be inevitable.
Yeah.
But us being able to muscle through that, and I kind of just stay strong and finish till the very end and be able to stand up to the very end.
Yeah.
And have every single player on the roster, all 23 players, were able to play and do something spectacular. They all did the things that they were recruited to do.
Sure. Well, I have to imagine it goes without saying this was a very special year in your career in being around the sport of rugby, both as a player and a coach. But, if you can, I guess, sum it up a little bit here in terms of what was so special about this group and this season for you as a head coach. Obviously a first-year head coach, but at the same time, just in general, being around this sport, what was so special about this season for you?
The big thing I think we talked about the last time, what draws us to rugby is the culture and the unique family aspect of it. And I would say it was monumental to see the team grow together
Yeah.
as a unit and as a family, and like really like back me and support me with this transition, and trusting. Like we made a coaching transition midway through the season.
Yeah.
We did have a backs coach, Lynn Plyer. She's actually coaching now over in New Zealand, South Africa.
Okay.
Maybe both.
Sure.
And then Garrett Bender came in. He was Olympian from the Rio 2016 Olympics,
Wow.
and he's helped with the forwards clearly enough to help us win the championship.
Done an okay job transitioning in that late. Yeah, for sure.
So just having the support from the external rugby community, and I mean, we had commentators for the England New Zealand professional rugby 7 or rugby 15s game going on that same day, broadcasting that game while like watching our girls on the side like winning a national championship.
I love it.
Dewey Morris actually spoke with the team earlier this semester. He was World Cup capped English scrum half.
Wow.
So there were a lot of people supporting the team, and I think that they felt that, and they knew that they were able to kind of fail a few times leading up to this point, and knowing that there wasn't going to be anything other than themselves to stop them.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, the sport of rugby, and, don't get me wrong, I've never played it. I will be the first to admit that. But, in my research of the sport and understanding it as a broadcaster, the one thing, and you mentioned it a second ago, is that family mentality. And the other thing is the respect of other players. Now, don't get me wrong, there is a large competitive nature to this game. But that being said, the respect that is so mutual throughout this sport of just knowing the grind that it takes to become good at your craft in the sport of rugby. It really is. I have to say, it's nice to hear the fact that you had so much respect going into this. And, here you are, a small university in Charlotte, North Carolina, and you guys are making some serious national noise in your first year in Division I. And people notice that, and people see that. And of course, now that helps you as a recruiter, and that you can say, hey, look what we did in just a short amount of time. Imagine what we can do and make this a dynasty here moving forward.
Right. And using that, like, as just having a culture like this for 4 years while you're in school. That's the biggest thing that I'm trying to do, is just make sure that if people are already going to have like a rugby team experience, like how enriching can we make it? And I think Queens is a very unique place to do that. And it's nice that it's a small town. It makes it kind of feel like a small family, but it is a big little city.
Sure.
So that I like that it's not in the woods. There's still stuff to do here.
A lot of things going on around here, but it is funny you say that, because I said the same thing. And my mom's whole family's from Gastonia, right up the road, and now, I mean, heck, that's a part of the city now. It didn't used to be, but I mean, the way things have expanded around here. But like you said, it is a strangely small community for such a huge population in the fourth fastest growing city in America. Like you said, a lot of people are starting to understand and gain that respect and understand who we are, and not just this program, but programs in general. And it's something special to watch you guys capitalize on things like that. That's for sure.
Yeah, and Queens again is definitely a unique environment in itself to offer and to like provide an environment like that for the team.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Coach, again, cannot say congratulations enough. What a season! I have to ask, what's next? I mean, I realize hopefully you get at least a little bit of time off. I don't know, but at the same time, I have to imagine you're already turning your gears in terms of, okay, now what do we do in the recruiting in terms of replacing some of the unbelievable talent that you guys are now graduating on, and then of course now looking ahead into the spring as well.
First things first is I've got a few more interviews this week.
Okay, all right.
Get to show off our medals for the rest.
I love
of
it.
the
Hey,
week.
listen, show it off. That's what you got to do.
If you see me around campus, I'm usually walking around with the trophy.
Hey, listen, I would somehow find a way to attach it to a lanyard and just hang that off your neck as you walk around and say, oh, this? Yeah.
What was that rapper with the clock around his neck?
Flava Flav. There you go. Oh, see, this is your Flava Flav moment.
Yes.
I love it.
After that, yes, recruiting is another big one that we're trying to hit, especially before Christmas break, just to see if there's any offers that we've left on the table that everything is cleared up before we go on break. And people have an early Christmas present or Hanukkah present.
I love it.
After that, we've got 7 season.
Okay.
Not trying to be biased, but I do prefer. I might prefer that one. Just
that's
a
fair.
little bit shorter attention span. The game's only 14 minutes long, so you can still have the rest of the day to do things.
I remember when I was doing my research as a broadcaster, and the first time I had ever come across rugby sevens, I was looking at it and I saw the 14 minutes and I was like, that can't be right. I was like, is that per half? And I was like, no, that's the entirety of the game. So there you go. But
The catch is you normally play 5 or 6 games for a 7
there you go. Yeah, exactly. So, well, Coach, again, big time congratulations. What a moment for this program. What a moment for you as a coach. What a moment for these players. National champions in 2022. So there you go. And of course, best of luck in the recruiting and then best of luck on into sevens. But definitely take the time to enjoy this. That's for sure.
Thank you very much, Mike.
Absolutely. All right, we'll take a break. When we get back, we'll talk basketball on the other side as we got Coach Jen Brown joining us here on the program. Don't go anywhere. We're back here on the Queen's Coaches Corner right after this.
Every journey has a starting point. Each student has a moment when talent and passion meet opportunity. At the intersection of challenge and support, self-discovery fuels breakthroughs, and leaders emerge prepared for what's next. I grew up loving music. It possesses this very real, very unique power for connection and healing. And my journey as a music therapist took shape here.
I discovered the pool offered a more level playing field and the chance to push my limits. At Queens, there's so much opportunity, and our potential for greatness accelerates with every step of our collective journey.
I've always had a knack for chemistry, and that talent has magnified since I got here, rippling out in new directions. I'm not afraid to take risks. I believe challenges make us stronger, and innovation only comes when we're willing to lean into the unknown.
I'm still not sure what the future holds, but whatever it is, Queens has prepared me for it.
My professors push me in the classroom and believe in my abilities.
My coaches, professors, all of us, we're one team, one family.
Here, my voice is heard. I'm given the freedom to be myself and charter new opportunities for change.
Here, strength comes from within.
Practice makes perfect.
And curiosity knows no bounds.
I believe Queens graduates will create a better tomorrow. Where we go next? That's up to us.
Back here on the Queen's Coaches Corner, coming to you live from JJ's Red Hots here on East Boulevard. Don't forget to follow us on social media. Across the social media platforms at QU Sports Network. And don't forget to catch all of our heart-stopping action as your Royals have to offer this season on ESPN+. For more information, head to our website at queensathletics.com or, again, follow us on social media at QU Sports Network. Well, let's flip our attention over to the hardwoods here as we are joined now by head coach of our women's basketball program, who's having a great start to their season in their first year at D1, and head coach Jen Brown. And Coach Brown, first off, a happy belated Thanksgiving and a welcome back to the program.
Thank you. Same to you. Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, and a big-time shout out to you guys for the start to this season. I mean, you know, give me your initial thoughts here on this team so far. 4-2, going into what's going to be transpiring as a pretty big road trip for you guys, heading to Western Carolina tomorrow, and then on your way out to the West Coast to take on University of Washington and Gonzaga, 2 Power 5 conferences. You know, what is it about this team that's been so special for you so far, just through the first 6 games?
Just the fact we've been able to hit our marks. We're setting goals from game to game, and you know our young ladies are responding to that. And I've been very impressed with our progress thus far. We know it's going to be, you know, a process, and we got to, you know, quote unquote pound the stone, but they've been committed thus far, so it's been awesome.
Well, you guys as a team are putting up just shy of 65 points a game, but holding opponents to just 53 points, and of course under 18% from 3-point range. Talk about closeout ability. You know, what's the key been defensively for you guys and the intensity so far this season?
You know what's so funny? You said all those stats, and my kids probably think I'm crazy, but I don't think we defend well yet.
Okay,
I think we can be much better. We miss assignments from time to time, and what I see in practice and what they do in games, I know we can be much better defensively.
I like that.
But I've been proud of them thus far. They're giving the effort that we need. It's just a couple of things we have to fine tune, because we know we have not arrived. And we got a really good, tough stretch coming up, in December. So I'm excited to see how that will translate.
Well, for you women's basketball players out there for Queens University of Charlotte, make sure you guys get those 11.5 steals up. We want to see 15 plus a game, right?
Exactly. Slackers.
Yeah, exactly. But let me ask you this: in terms of talking about that and the way they practice, and I agree with you. You guys are a lot of fun to watch practice. You guys are a lot of fun to watch play, but practice, it's so intense, and I have to imagine. Not just from your own playing ability, but we talked about your coaching staff and the playing ability that you guys have had across the board. That's got to be so much fun for you guys to watch that intensity come through in practice, too.
Oh, absolutely. I think as a head coach, your goal is always to make practice harder than games. So when they get to games, it's easy, right? And then nothing surprises them. So we do a lot of live practices with, high intensity and the game situations and things like that, just so they're prepared. And when they get to the games, they've been in that moment already. Sort of thing. So that's what we try to do every single day we practice.
Well, before we start talking about a couple of home openers that you guys had, of course, with the Whiteout game a couple of weeks ago and stuff like that. But one thing we had talked about, I alluded to it before when you guys were on here last time. You guys had a pretty special experience, at least for you, going back to the alma mater in James Madison. Maybe not the score you wanted, but what was that experience like for you?
It was special. Kind of seeing the people at the scorers table, seeing the band, seeing Coach O, the head coach there. It was very special. Our booster club at JMU came out and they came back with signs and things like that to support me.
Love it.
A lot of alum people I played with, people who were on older teams before me and after me, they came back. So JMU is just such a big time family environment, and I felt that when I went back. Was upset about the game. As you can imagine, I'm very competitive, but just to be back, with quote unquote family was awesome for me.
I love that. And going back to what we were talking about a minute ago, I would love to hear your thoughts on the environment that you've seen so far here for these couple of games. We talked about that whiteout game against UNC Asheville, the intensity that was there in terms of the fans. That's just got to be such a cool thing for you as a head coach to just stand there and soak all that in.
It's been very refreshing and awesome to see the turnout from former Queens alumni.
Yeah.
And their support of my young ladies and, people from 20, 30, 10 years ago who, have no affiliation with the program right now, except for that they played one time in the Queens uniform. They're coming back and they're really excited. I think they like our brand of basketball that we're playing.
Yeah.
And they've been nothing but, great to me and my young ladies. So that's been very refreshing. And then to kind of see the student support, Royals supporting Royals has been awesome as well. But, I'm greedy. I want more. I want even more. And I want to see how we come out, especially once we get around the A-Sun play.
I love that. Yeah. Well, I mean, again, believe it or not, that's right around the corner. I don't know how,
December,
but it's right.
Man. Like, what is going on?
I'm telling you, I had that moment when I opened up the show tonight of like, hey, we're 2 days away from from December. Oh crap, we're 2 days away from December, right? So anyway, I don't know. The Christmas music started, and that was like, oh boy, here we go.
Oh, people are laughing at me. I put the Christmas tree up in the office already.
All right. Yeah, well, I saw that.
The day after Thanksgiving, Christmas has started for me.
Well,
the tree is up.
You're putting me in the doghouse here because my wife's still upset that we haven't put our Christmas
tree up. Come on, man,
yet.
get slacking, get up.
I promise we will. But talking about this team in general, and a couple of names that jump out are Kid Kidwell, Jordan Weaver, both averaging double figures, just shy of 11 points a game.
Right.
What is it about their game that has translated so well? Again, both have D1 playing experience, but of course, what is it that stands out about them so far this season?
I think for starting with Kid, her work ethic. Kid is hands down one of the hardest workers on both sides of the ball. We talk about her points, but she's my defensive captain.
Okay.
Right? She helps out with matchups during games. She tells me what she sees in terms of just, different defenses we can try and how to play different people. And she's been phenomenal. Like I said before on the show, she's one of the highest IQ kids I've ever coached. And the way she works on both sides of the ball is very special.
Yeah.
Right? And you watch her steals per game, lead the team in that as well.
Sure.
So, and charges. She takes the most charges on the team as well, right? So absolutely love coaching that kid. And Jordan, she's been like my pleasant surprise. I like smile from ear to ear like a proud mom because she's making the most of her new opportunity.
I love it.
And she's always want to have an opportunity to actually just be on the court and have a head coach to pour into her. And we're doing that with her. And she's making the most out of it. And she's been a treat to coach and kind of see her progress. She knows she's not a finished product. And I think she has a lot more to give. Like, she's a phenomenal 3-point shooter. So we want to tap into that part of her game as well, because she hasn't been able to display that as much as she would like to, or how much I would like her to. So just to kind of see her continue to grow is going to be awesome for us.
Well, and watching her abilities, I mean, granted, she's showing off for sure, just a couple rebounds shy of a double-double per game. But at the same time, like you said, it's a lot of fun to watch her play. She's been our impact player several times on ESPN Plus. But, you mentioned it a little bit ago in terms of the way that they've really come together. And, going back to Kidwell, a former Austin Peay player, and so maybe a little bit of an edge heading into conference play once that comes around, because she's been in the ASUN.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think just with her in general, I don't care who we're playing. She is excited to play. But the fact that she has playing experience and at Austin Peay they won, that's a big thing as well. And she didn't have the role that she has here now, where she's actually my leading scorer. And I'm yelling at her to shoot more. And she thinks I'm crazy. I'm like, no, shoot more.
I like it.
Sort of thing. So, and she's eating that up, and she's doing a great job for me, on down to Adia Briska and even Ali Johnson.
Yeah.
So I always say, I feel like we're 12 deep, a legit 12 deep, and you never know who can step up. And I always talk about being ready for their opportunity, and they have been so far.
Well, and Austin Peay, a newcomer to the ASUN this year, but like you said, a lot of success with that program in recent years. And you just mentioned one, Adia Brisker, another strong performer, just shy of about 10 a game, 5.5 rebounds a game. What jumps off the page about her performance this year?
She has we call like a little Mamba mentality. Her favorite player is Kobe Bryant.
I love it.
She's a kid. I have to tell her,
high praise.
Get out the gym. Oh yeah.
Okay.
One time she shot for so long. One day she actually hurt her wrist.
Oh, wow.
And had to go get treatment for that. So she's a kid you got to almost kick out the gym, a big-time gym rat.
I like that.
Constantly want to watch film, want to get better. She and I, we have individual film sessions. She has like a notebook where she takes notes, and we talk about things she's to work on. She's like that type of kid, very cerebral kid, always trying to figure out ways she can get better to help the team. And she's just scratching the surface.
Yeah.
Right? She's not right now, she'll tell you right now, she's not shooting the ball well from the floor in terms of her percentage, and she's a much better shooter than what she's displayed. And I'm just saying, just look out once she starts, getting in her groove and getting more comfortable. I'm really, really excited about her.
And you mentioned one more, Ali Johnson. I mean, watching her start to come into her own, running the point for you guys, and she's got some serious passing ability. That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I have to imagine her teammates around her enjoy the unselfishness that she shows at times.
Yeah, and she loves playing up tempo. She loves playing in my system. It's so funny with Ali. We're trying to find a healthy balance where she's looking to score and pass more. Where I'm trying to get to her as a point guard, you always got to be in attack mode down here looking to score, and then you read and react and find your teammates. I think she's passing a little bit too much at times.
Fair enough.
Right? So she and I are having those type of conversations, and we're talking about IQ plays and, just what she sees and things like that. So she's been a treat to coach as well.
Well, Coach, what are you expecting, or I should say, just maybe some folks that we haven't mentioned, who are you expecting to have a big December here, second half of the year coming up? I know you got a lot of games left to be played all the way through the end of February and then on into the postseason. But, who are you looking to maybe step up here over the, not to call anybody out, just, as a coach, and you're always kind of looking at the future of programs, what is it you're looking for here?
I think with any program, you have to be a solid 8 deep in your rotation. If you could get to 9 or 10, you're big time, so to speak. So I'm looking for that, 7, 8, 9 kids to step up and kind of be consistent in their role.
Sure.
I think Amari Davis, Kennedy Fuller.
Yeah.
And I'm actually adding a mid-year transfer.
Okay.
I'll keep that name a secret
All
right
right,
now.
all right.
Adding a mid-year transfer.
I like
but
the
I
mystery.
think that those 3 young ladies will be able to do so. And honestly, I'm really excited to see how our Baldy and how Summer Joseph respond. Because there are backup post players for Jordan, right?
Sure.
And they have to be able to give quality minutes. And the way they've been practicing, if they can stay the course how they've been practicing the last 2 weeks, I'm really, really excited to see what December looks like for those 2 young ladies.
Well, I say they have the size to compete well at this level.
Yeah.
And they I don't like standing next to them because I feel way too short when I'm standing next to them.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have some serious talent. But like you said, just a matter of finding that confidence and tapping into it, right?
They're my big babies right now. My 6'4" big babies walking around campus, still learning their bodies. They've been in the weight room getting stronger. That's a big part, being able to play the post at the mid-major, Division I level. So,
sure.
And they're starting to come into their own, their body, understand the physicality and the speed of the game.
Yeah.
And I think they've been adjusting well thus far. So I will say these next 4 games will really be where they can cut their teeth.
Absolutely.
and really get ready for ASUN play.
Well, now we're looking ahead at the road trip you guys have coming up here before you come home and play Radford on the 15th, and it's a coast-to-coast road trip, that's for sure.
Yeah.
You get a little bit of a taste of that going out to Western Carolina tomorrow, but then, of course, on out to University of Washington, then Gonzaga, two programs that, of course, are always in the talks in the national scene every single year.
Right.
What is a road trip like this? What are you hoping to get out of it for this squad? Obviously, a couple of W's, but at the same time, what are you hoping these young ladies learn?
Just the overall experience. I'm all about the student-athlete experience, allow them to see different parts of the country. Some of my young ladies have never even flown before.
Wow.
So their first time on a flight. So I'm excited for them to be able to experience that.
Talk about pulling the Band-Aid off on a long
goodness,
flight.
ready to go, right? I'm excited for them to play against two historically, programs who have a lot of history behind them in those arenas with that atmosphere. I think it'll be huge. You're going to BCS programs, right?
Yeah.
Gonzaga, who won their conference last year, has been in the tournament. Gonzaga's going to be playing Stanford 2 days before they play us, number 2 in the country. So,
and they're pretty good.
Pretty good, just a little bit. So, just excited for them to be able to experience that level of competition, so we can grow and learn from that and be able to compete against those type of kids and let them know they deserve to be in the court with those type of players, right? That's the mentality I want them to have.
I like
they deserve to be in the court with those type of kids and be able to compete against those kids to try to get a win.
I love that. Well, Coach, I will let you go. I know you got a long road trip. You got to get packing and stuff
for
like that.
8 days now. That's all I'm gonna do. So.
I was going to say, because you got to pack for tomorrow, then you got to get back and pack again for coming up this weekend. But, Coach, always a pleasure. Really appreciate you joining us.
Thank you so
and
much.
We'll be rooting for you here all weekend long.
Appreciate
and we'll see you back here on the 15th.
All right.
Radford.
Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your night.
We'll take a break. When we get back, we'll talk to Coach Dyer here of our women's triathlon team. A fantastic national showing, second place in the national tournament at Division I. We'll talk more about that with Coach Dyer here coming up in just a moment on Queen's Coach's Corner. Don't go anywhere. We're back right after this.
Once royalty carves out its place in history, it becomes an empire. And an empire needs room to grow. People call us an empire. We simply call ourselves Royals. Queens has been committed to excellence in everything we do. Now, we've leveled up. We're faster. We're stronger. We're better than ever. And now, we're ready for a new challenge. Our legacy has expanded. ASUN is now our domain, whether it's away or at home. On the diamond, even when no one is watching. Working, training, coaching. In the moments that define our empire, Royals are Division I.
Back here on the Queen's Coach's Corner, Mike Glennon alongside you here on this Tuesday night, coming to you live from JJ's Red Hots. Let's get this straight. JJ's Red Hots is not a restaurant. It's a hot dog joint that serves what we believe are the best hot dogs on the planet. It's a place where service and value still means something, and they're celebrating their 10th year anniversary here in 2022. So JJ's Red Hots, always handcrafted, as I am joined now by head coach of our women's triathlon team, who is coming off another outstanding national showing here in their first year at the Division I level, coming in off a runner-up placing. And first off, Coach Dyer, welcome back, and a big congratulations on just a phenomenal season.
Thank you very much. Happy to be here. Appreciate it.
Well, we talked about it. Coming off that second place finish out west, and now edged by the way, by the now 6-time champion Arizona State Sun Devils, the host of this tournament. But, we had talked about it a few weeks back before you guys went on there, and just you were hoping that they would just come out and show out. I have to imagine by just 9 points, you had to be very proud of what these young ladies did.
Very proud. I couldn't be more proud. It was a case that, the football analogy is that, it's like in the championship game, maybe giving up 3 touchdowns in the first quarter, and then in the fourth quarter come roaring back and then just miss it by a field goal at the very end.
Sure.
And that's essentially how the race played out. So,
well, you had 3 top 6 finishers, and then again, everybody that raced in the top 27, which nationally is pretty darn good, in case you were doing the math at home on that one. But, we talked about Letitia Martinelli, and what she's done as an all-East regional freshman. Ended up finishing 3rd. Sam McInnes in the 5 spot, and then Natalia Hidalgo Martinez, your other top 10 finisher. What did you see from those 3? And you talked about it, especially late finishing in that race to really get your team back into it.
We knew going in that Arizona State University is the best swimming team in the country.
Sure.
We knew going in, and they knew going in, that we were the best running team in the country. And so that leaves the race late for us because we're going to race from the back. We've got to pack up together. We've got to move forward. And to, honestly, to have 3 girls in before ASU's number 3, to have 3 girls in before last year's Division I individual national champion.
Wow.
Put 3 athletes in front of that individual. To have our number 5 in front of ASU's number 5. We did a lot of things right, but there was still that 9-point gap where, just we needed one more person to make the train that moved forward and have a great run and take away some of the displacers that were between the groups. So.
Well, and we talked about it. You have a pretty good mix of not just, veterans, but you got a lot of newcomers to this program as well. And you can't say enough about the job that they did, the amount of training that goes into this. What do those final couple of weeks look like for this team heading into that race?
Yeah, it's the final weeks of training. At that point, the hay is in the barn, and then it's just simply a matter of trusting your tapering down, getting yourself rested and ready to go. Going over different race scenarios that you're going to encounter. We did that several times, and what was interesting was in every single scenario, the answer was chase. Get on the gas, work together, chase. One of my freshmen, she's she came out of the water second for us. She was the engine on the bike that moved a lot of it forward. Cara McDonald from Canada.
Sure.
True freshman. And helped that group with Letitia, Sam, Natalia, Kira Ribbing all move forward. And then typically at that point in the race, her job is done.
Gotcha.
She's led the pack in the swim. She's led the pack and driven it on the bike. But because we had 5 in that chase group and not 6, now I'm asking her after all of that, okay, you got to run. You got to run because you're number 5.
Dig deep.
Yeah. And what's interesting is she was our number 7 at the East Regional.
Okay.
And she beat ASU's top finisher from the West Regional.
Wow.
So our number 7 beat their number 1 from the regionals. And somehow there's still a 9-point difference.
Unbelievable.
It's just, that kind of thing happens on race day. But to see these young kids really come out and have just these Herculean efforts for the team. Again, I just couldn't have been more proud.
Well, and you mentioned it, the finishing ability, to the sheer mental strength, not just physical prowess, but the sheer mental strength you have to just dig deep late in a race, especially for someone like that who has already done what their normal job is. And now it's like, hey, we need a little bit more from you. You got to dig deep. And to watch that response, I can't imagine how proud you were as a coach.
Very proud. And, the other thing about this is how exciting the race was.
Yeah.
Because typically ASU comes out of the water, they get in their lead group, they ride away from the field, they run for the win, and that's that. And, it looked like that out of the water and into the first transition. When you got out on the bike and people were taking splits, all of a sudden the announcer's like, they're not leaving the rest of this chase pack that's driven by Queens. And then the rest of the Tempe crowd, ASU's home race,
sure,
they're picking up on the fact of we don't have this. And then we get on the run. And then we start, Letitia, Sam, Natalia, start picking people off one after another. All of a sudden, you start seeing the game and the score change, and it was a dogfight. Like it was a dogfight at the end.
I love it.
So just from a global perspective of it, us being an emerging sport, now with 40 institutions, going to a championship sport, making the race that exciting, what it essentially does. And it is what I told them. I said, this is bigger than us.
Mm-hmm.
This is about developing a sport and telling other institutions that are our size that they can beat institutions that are that size and that they can enter this game as an emerging to championship sport because we're going to a championship sport.
Again, you didn't just make a 6-time national champion sweat. You made them earn that 6th national championship. It wasn't just a matter of, hey, good job, guys. You guys came out and performed. It was a, hey, you almost had us.
And to their credit, to Cliff English and ASU's credit, they raced a tactically as pure and perfect race as they could have. Because had anyone dropped from that lead group, had they decided, started attacking or split up or anything, we'd have had them.
Yeah.
So I like it when, it's one thing to, get second by 9 points. At the other side, people are studying what we do tactically and they're reacting to it tactically. And now the whole game is now elevated as a result of it. So, and then, the other issue that about this too is that we were the 6-time D2 national champ.
Yeah.
Now that we're not in the D2 race, Lenore Ryan wins.
Yeah, there you go. See?
Wingate gets third. So now here are two programs that we were instrumental in fostering from the very beginning.
Yeah.
And now that they're both podium programs.
Yeah.
And, coming from North Carolina. So just very proud of what Sherry Swarthout and Jeff Dugdale have allowed us to do in developing the neighborhood for collegiate triathlon as an emerging sport that is now well on its way to becoming a championship sport.
And not just a championship sport, an exciting sport to watch. That's for sure. Yeah. And I guess my thing is, you mentioned kind of what it does for the sport. What does something like this do for this program and for this university? I mean, what does this do for you guys? Of course, you mentioned an emerging sport in a part of the country that's more dominated by the football, the basketball, stuff like that. But now all of a sudden you're saying, oh, okay, this is exciting. And now you're putting not just this sport, but you're putting this university on the map in really cool ways, more than it ever was before. Again, a 6-time national champion at the D2 level, you can never take that away from you. But now you're starting to make some noise at that D1 level. That's got to be something special with this program.
Yeah, I mean, and again, it kind of, what it really does is it serves to quantify what we've known all along, that we were a top 2 program.
Yeah.
Always were. It's just that when we had D2 next to our name, there was a lot of question and yes, but a little asterisk there.
Of course.
Asterisk is gone.
Yeah.
Like,
There's no more conversation about are you or are you not. It's, hey, they're here. And they're, and again, with the young ladies that you have on this team, you're not going anywhere.
Oh, no.
And all you're doing is, and especially with a performance like that, all that's going to do is help you add to that mix.
Right. Yeah. And, interesting, after a race weekend like that, 4 days of travel, you just want to get home and you want to unwind. And all of a sudden you look and the inbox has, 15 new recruits
Love it.
that are not interested in your program.
Love it. Hey.
There is no rest for the weary in that either. So,
Well, and again, I guess that boils down to, that's a good kind of work, right?
Yeah.
And especially that they're coming to you and you're not having to search it out. But, Coach, let me ask you this before I let you go. Kind of, what does your off season look like, quote unquote off season? Obviously, it's recruiting, and there really in a sport like this, there really is no off time. You got to keep training. You can't just take 6 months off and then dive right back into it.
Yeah, off season in triathlon is kind of like an oxymoron. It doesn't
I love that.
I give them, I tell them 2 weeks mandatory. So between the end of the national championship and Thanksgiving break, it was like, I told them, I said, study. What are we going to do, Coach, from 1 o'clock to 3 o'clock? I go on long walks, do something different, something that you don't usually get to do. When we come back from Thanksgiving break, we begin, triathletes are super fit. They're not super strong athletes.
Okay.
And so kind of the low hanging fruit for us in the off season is to get really engaged in the gym and go big on strength training, functional training, injury prevention, durability, those kind of things. So that's really what we kind of began yesterday.
And I have to imagine with the sports medicine staff that we have here, that's got to be a big boost for you guys, especially for something that takes so much out of you physically. Just being able to be rehabbed like that has got to be awesome.
Exactly. It's a completely different focus. We can integrate some of that swim into our strength into our swims. Just getting in the gym with what Matt and his crew do.
Yeah.
Our team athletic trainer is Michelle Perry. She's been incredible all year long in keeping us as healthy as she possibly could. Always being there, always being on call. It's interesting because, she came to Queens through Atrium to work with triathlon and track and field and cross country.
I love it.
That kind of dedication to in what she has done in revolutionizing what our care giving, it's just, the kids know, hey, she's a triathlete. She's done triathlon. She's a runner. I mean, it makes a big difference.
Yeah. And again, she knows kind of, I almost feel like she could be someone who can preempt, some of those injuries that are so common in a sport like this of like, hey, we need to focus our training on something like this to prevent what might actually happen.
Yeah. And then her ability to work with Matt and say, we got a functional instability here. This is something we need to address and that kind of thing. So it's just, our dream team and our coaching staff and the support staff that our team has at Queens is pretty incredible. So I'm very thankful for it.
Well, Coach, I am very thankful for you joining us. And, of course, big congratulations on another unbelievable season. Cannot wait to see what you guys are able to pull off next year. That is for certain. And I know Arizona State may not be happy with what you guys might pull off next year. But, hey, that's the nature of competition.
We have a rival, and it's good for both of us. So that's
and it's a rival in a warm spot. I mean, not that we're not warm, but it's very warm out there. So, Coach, thanks so much. I appreciate you joining us. And, of course, we'll have you back on here as this offseason progresses and then head back into next year.
You bet.
All right, we'll take our final break here on the Queens Coaches Corner. We're back after this. Don't go anywhere.
Every journey has a starting point. Each student has a moment when talent and passion meet opportunity. At the intersection of challenge and support, self-discovery fuels breakthroughs, and leaders emerge prepared for what's next. I grew up loving music. It possesses this very real, very unique power for connection and healing. And my journey as a music therapist took shape here.
I discovered the pool offered a more level playing field and the chance to push my limits. At Queens, there's so much opportunity, and our potential for greatness accelerates with every step of our collective journey.
I've always had a knack for chemistry, and that talent has magnified since I got here, rippling out in new directions. I'm not afraid to take risks. I believe challenges make us stronger, and innovation only comes when we're willing to lean into the unknown.
I'm still not sure what the future holds, but whatever it is, Queens has prepared me for it.
My professors push me in the classroom and believe in my abilities.
My coaches, professors, all of us, we're one team, one family.
Here, my voice is heard. I'm given the freedom to be myself and charter new opportunities for change.
Here, strength comes from within.
Practice makes perfect.
And curiosity knows no bounds.
I believe Queens graduates will create a better tomorrow. Where we go next? That's up to us.
Back here, JJ's Red Hots on this Tuesday night as we wrap things up. Mike Glenn alongside you here. Don't forget to make sure you follow us, like, and subscribe across all our social media platforms using @QU Sports Network on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And we're even on TikTok, folks. All the freshest, newest content that Queens Athletics has to offer in one place. Make sure you hit us up and check us out. Just to give you a rundown of what we got coming up for the rest of this week. Tomorrow night, wrestling back on the mats. They got a single duel now. It was Southwest Virginia Community College was supposed to come in, but a little sickness. They backed out. So to be wrestling against Belmont Abbey tomorrow night at 7 on the Queen Sports Network over on YouTube. If you haven't liked and subscribed yet, make sure you do so, as we'll have stuff on there. Of course, coming up on Friday night, wrestling back on the mats as they will take to the ESPN Plus airwaves for the first time in program history as they were welcoming the University of Virginia Cavaliers coming into town. A little ACC A-Sun matchup coming your way, as we'll talk more about that coming up over these next couple of days. And then basketball back in town, men's basketball, that is, back in town on Saturday afternoon. They'll take on Payne College. Right now, just tipping off, getting underway out in Boiling Green, and their final of 2 games away from Curry Arena. Right now, 7-5 with 14:23 left to play in that first half, and another big opponent out there as they continue their first year in Division I athletics. 5-2 are your Royals men's basketball team, and you want to talk about a fun team to watch. That is most certainly a fast program, and it's going to be a lot of fun to watch, so make sure you tune in for that. 3 o'clock tip-off coming up on Saturday afternoon on ESPN Plus, and of course we talked to Coach Dugdale back in the home pool at the Levine Center against Duke at 11 a.m. on the Queen Sports Network, so not going to want to miss that. Like I said, like and subscribe across all of our social media platforms, including YouTube, and make sure you come on and join us on ESPN Plus as well. Shout out to all the coaches that joined us here tonight. Really do appreciate them stopping by here at JJ's Red Hots. We're coming to you live on Tuesday nights right here from the inside. We used to be up on the rooftop. A little bit cold nowadays as we flip into the month of December, but if you haven't gotten out here yet, please come down, hang out with us, enjoy, grab a hot dog, grab a beer, and just hang out and talk some Royal sports with us as we continue on throughout the rest of this year. Go out and enjoy the rest of your night, folks. And as always, go Royals.